Hello everybody, here we are again at the Pray Vote Stand Summit 2025 in Chino Hills, California. And it's been such an amazing conference here with Family Research Council. And one of the partners here is an amazing new ministry that I'm just getting to know called Equipping the Persecuted. And this organization is helping the church in Nigeria. And with me here to talk about it is Judd, Saul. Judd, thanks for coming on Truth and Liberty today.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Equipping the Persecuted, when I first saw the name, I thought, gosh, do they have anything to do with another ministry to the martyrs that I work with? But you guys are actually just zeroed in on the nation of Nigeria. Why is Nigeria so important?
Well, I got introduced to Nigeria. My grandfather's a lay evangelist, and he was doing some work in Nigeria, and I first went there in 2011, and to help out their mission and kind of bring them into the 21st century. You know what I mean? See some of those missionaries from the 70s that haven't caught up with technology. Well, that's what first brought me to Nigeria, was to help out the mission, but I fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people. And over the course of time, we saw persecution against Christians increase, and the amount of deaths and everything else. And I kept on looking around, looking at the other missions and the other networks going, what are we doing to respond to this? And so in 2019, I started Equipping the Persecuted, a mission dedicated not just to helping the persecuted, but to stop the persecution. So one of the things that makes us controversial is not only do we render aid, we help respond to attacks within 48 hours. One of the things we do is we work with village security teams.
Okay.
We teach them self-defense skills, intelligence, security awareness, how to protect your village. If an attack comes, what's the first line of defense? How do we evacuate people? How to address trauma wounds by giving them medical packets and also locally sourced bulletproof vests and radios and communications. I can't give them weapons, but what we can do is we can give them a little bit more support and leg up.
Some of our viewers may not realize what's going on in Nigeria. Can you give us some background on that?
So to put it in perspective, why focus on Nigeria? In the last 5 years, 90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide have been in Nigeria.
Wow.
On average, it's been about 5,000 Christians killed per year, but so far this year, in January, since January 1, 7,000 Christians have been killed.
Right. Wow. And 5,000 would be enough, That'd be enough for drastic action, but now it's up to 7,000.
You would think it's been 7,000 this year.
Who's doing the killing in Nigeria? What is this?
So what's happening is you're seeing the major clash of radical Islam that has been invading Nigeria from the north and conquering it little by little over time. So it's not like one giant army in force going and taking over a whole chunk of a country. It's just move in, populate, kill. Move further south, populate, kill. Move south, populate, kill. Death by 1,000 attacks over a course of time, which has now rendered over 300 Christian communities wiped off the map.
Wow, 300 Christian communities. How many Christians have been murdered in Nigeria from this?
Direct killing since 2001, since they started doing the attacks, has been over 100,000. Wow. But that's murder. That's immediate murder by whether it's machete or gun, but what no one's talking about is the aftermath because of the killings. We've had, I would say, up to 1 million die because of poverty and sickness and disease, because their entire land and houses and everything they own was just destroyed.
Wow. This is just another manifestation of classic Islamic jihad. I mean, this is stuff that they have done since 700 AD, right? I mean, And so, but here it is on open display for the world to see, and you're trying to do something about it. What's your website, Judd?
So it's equippingthepersecuted.org. That's our ministry website, equippingthepersecuted.org. And then as part of our mission, we created a mechanism to inform the world about what's happening in Nigeria.
Okay.
And that's called truthnigeria.com.
Okay.
And so we have over 17 journalists in the conflict zones putting out articles and reporting every day what's going on, because a lot of people ask, why haven't we heard about this? Why is the media silent on this? And I think your audience needs to know how Nigeria news works.
Yeah.
Let's say there's an event where 50 people were killed. if the Nigerian government doesn't hold a press conference, the event never happened.
Wow, okay.
So no Nigerian journalist will cover the story because the Nigerian government didn't hold a press conference.
Wow, do they not have freedom of the press in Nigeria?
Freedom of the press. No, they really don't have freedom of the press.
Okay.
And so we gave these journalists an outlet to
right.
document and share what's going on in Nigeria. And the other problem is when you hear about killing in the mainstream media that happens in Nigeria, it's whitewashed by Al Jazeera.
I see.
So Nigerian government puts out a press release, Al Jazeera picks it up, does their scrubbing, then it goes to the AP, then it goes to the mainstream media.
Okay, got you. All right, so we've got literally a genocide that's taking place in Nigeria right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so you were talking about some of the things that Equipping the Persecuted is doing.
Yeah.
You've got a website for journalists to document what's happening.
Yes.
You're providing medical aid after an attack.
Yes.
And some training to Christian villages and stuff like that on security measures. What else are you guys doing?
Well, we're also we have to fight the war on the ground in Nigeria by, one, we spread the gospel with all the good work we do, so we are sharing the love of Jesus Christ with every effort we do. But the other thing we're doing is we're trying to fight the war here, the narrative.
Okay.
Like I said, the mainstream media is whitewashing everything. They're downplaying, they're saying genocide is not occurring. So we're trying to fight the narrative war in the West, proving and showing the world that persecution is happening and genocide against Christians is happening. And you're gonna laugh at this. The Western media says that the killing in Nigeria is occurring because of climate change.
Yeah, well, it gets really hot there.
Yeah. So
drive people to do crazy things.
So we're countering that narrative.
Yeah, that's really good. And so what's happening on the international stage? It doesn't sound good, but I've heard some rumblings lately. Hopeful maybe some awareness is coming.
So because of Bill Maher, of all people, an atheist, non-Christian, brings up on his show that there's genocide against Christians happening in Nigeria, all of a sudden everybody's now kind of focused on Nigeria. Well, politically, we have some Congressman Chris Smith from New Jersey putting forth legislation to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which means there's atrocities happening, there's human rights violations, and we need to keep an eye on it. Ted Cruz has gone further with his legislation in the Senate, actually calling for sanctions over Nigerian military leaders and politicians, allowing the persecution to happen.
Okay.
So we have that going for us, but we have had a bit of a setback yesterday with Massad Bulus, who is Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, who's in Trump's administration. He's the envoy to Africa for the Trump administration. For some reason is buying the Nigerian government talking points that there isn't a persecution going on. So we have a lot of work to do, and we need people to get up and call their congressmen and senators and say, intervene on behalf of persecuted Christians in Nigeria, and do it now.
Okay, so folks, you heard that. Now, how do they do that? To call their congressmen and their senators and say, I want you to do something about Nigeria.
So if you call a congressman, tell him to sign on to Chris Smith's HR Resolution 202, I believe it is, but Chris Smith's legislation on Nigeria. And if you're talking to a senator, tell them to sign on to Ted Cruz's legislation on Nigeria.
Yeah. So you don't happen to know the number to call or anything, do you?
I don't know. No, you look it up online, Google your congressman or senator's name, but don't call their local office in the state. Call the DC office,
Washington,
and
DC.
leave your message. Make sure you call the DC office when you contact them.
Okay, now this Trump's envoy to Africa again. Let's go back to him. His name is, say that again.
Massad Bulus.
Massad Bulus. Is he a Muslim?
He's not a Muslim, so he's technically Catholic Lebanese.
Okay.
And he actually lived in Lagos, southern part of Nigeria, which is very insulated from the rest of what's going on in Nigeria.
Okay. Can people contact his office in some way?
He doesn't have a direct office to contact, unfortunately, but contact the Trump administration and say, President Trump, we want you to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. And if they want to do it, just take it a step further and call for a genocide. Designate Nigeria as a country of genocide. And that will help save many, many lives.
Okay, and so how can people help your ministry, Judd?
So you can visit equippingthepersecuted.org. Make sure it's equippingthepersecuted.org, all one word, and partner with us. Partner with us monthly. Every donation you give, 80% of it goes right to helping Christians on the ground in Nigeria. We're trying to get to a 90-10 model, but right now 80% of your funds go to helping persecuted Christians in Nigeria. And it's not just talking. We are there on the ground. I have a staff of 150 Nigerians spread out through the entire middle belt of the country responding to these attacks.
Wow. And once again, what you said, I think, was within 48 hours, you guys are on the scene.
Right.
After an attack, after an Islamic attack, you're on the scene ministering to the families and victims
Yes.
Of these attacks.
Yes.
And before we started, Judd, you were telling me about if someone gets attacked or displaced is a very septic way of saying it, but they lose their home, their property, their life.
Yeah, you're essentially a refugee within your own country.
Okay.
All right, so the terrorists come in. They come in from different sides. With machetes, with guns, and they start killing. They funnel people in, and the people that survive have now lost everything they have. Now you're talking about a country that's already in abject poverty.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they make less than $100 a month, the average Nigerian. So imagine now losing your home and everything you own.
Yeah.
And then the government says, well, this is too dangerous to be here. Move over here. Here's a plot of whatever land, fend for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't get food. They don't get hardly anything from the Nigerian government. And because the Nigerian government's so corrupt, I got to add this, they don't recognize a majority of these IDP camps that exist because it's bad for them on paper. So that means no UN, that means no Red Cross, no international organizations are helping these Christians.
Wow. IDP means
internally displaced person.
Okay, so they're not crossing into some other country, but they are inside of Nigeria, brothers and sisters in Christ,
Yeah.
who are being murdered, slaughtered, stolen from, their families destroyed. In some cases they've been maimed,
Yes.
burned,
Maimed,
hands
burned.
chopped off, other
Yes.
things like that. So
Yes.
these people are in desperate need, and the world is not wanting to wake up to this problem.
No.
But there's something else on a little bit of a lighter note. Judd, you guys have started selling some amazing coffee.
Yes, yeah, so people kept, came across the idea, it's like, if people are gonna buy coffee, or they go to Starbucks, or they order from wherever, why not order coffee from that benefits the kingdom?
Yeah.
So like every time you order coffee from us, it benefits persecuted Christians. 100% of all our proceeds go to helping persecuted Christians. Not 10%, not 20%, all proceeds go into the mission.
Right, and what's the name of the coffee?
Well, it couldn't come up with anything too original, but it's ETP Coffee, Equipping the Persecuted Coffee.
ETP Coffee.
ETPcoffee.com, and they can order coffee there.
All right, so if you're like me, you drink a lot of coffee, okay? Check out etpcoffee.org.
Com.
Yeah, I always forget which domain it is.
etpcoffee.com.
Get your coffee from them, and in so doing, you'll be helping out your brothers and sisters in Christ in Nigeria, which is now the most persecuted place on the face of the earth. Is that right?
Yes.
I mean, worse than China, probably.
Worse than China, in regards to actual killings and deaths.
Yeah, it's hard for us to get our heads around that, Judd, what that must be like. But it's an unpleasant thought, but we need to think about it and lift those folks up in prayer, and also prayerfully consider partnering with Equipping the Persecuted financially, so that you can enable them to do more. And don't forget to call your congressman, call your senator at their Washington, D.C. office, tell them to support Chris Smith's legislation in the House, Ted Cruz's legislation in the Senate, and also call the White House. Tell them do something about Nigeria today. All right? So, Judd, thank you so much for coming on Truth and Liberty. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. God bless you.
You too.
Thank you.